I have just returned from a visit to the most wonderfully beautiful painting. We took the opera glass and examined its beauties minutely, for the naked eye cannot discern the little wayside flowers, soft shadows and patches of sunshine, half-hidden bunches of grass, and jets of water which form some of its most enchanting features.
American landscape artist Frederic Edwin Church's Heart of the Andes represents a unique convergence of art and science. Unprecedented vistas opened up for Church through the scientific insights of Alexander von Humboldt. Humboldt embarked on a 5-year journey of discovery to the Americas. At the outset, he articulated his scientific goals.
I shall collect plants and fossils and make astronomical observations. But that is not the main purpose of my expedition. I shall try to find out how the forces of nature interact upon one another and how the geographical environment influences plant and animal life. In other words, I must understand the unity of nature.
Humboldt's 5-year exploration of the New World included the creation of comprehensive maps. As a geographer, Humboldt broke new ground with the detail and precision of his maps. At first, Humboldt's task was the intensive study of previously unseen combinations of climate zones, from the tropics to the frigid peaks of the highest mountains. Humboldt's comprehensive view included active volcanoes and, above all, the Chimborazo, believed to be at this time the highest mountain in the world. During his exploration, Humboldt made reaching the Chimborazo summit the supreme challenge of his journey.
With extreme exertion, we reached a greater height than we had dared to expect, for we were constantly climbing through clouds. Suddenly, the stratum of mist, which had hidden every distant object, began to dissipate. Once more, we recognized the dome-shaped summit of Chimborazo. We had now reached an elevation of 19,286 feet.
This achievement meant that Humboldt had reached a greater height than anyone before him. It was only part of a grander vision, for which his collecting of plant species had been essential. Now, he was able to visualize his findings in the context of a new scientific discipline, the geography of plants. He had the data to demonstrate his vision to the world. He proclaimed a science in which the study of relationships replaced the practice of pure description.
In this great chain of causes and effects, no single fact can be considered in isolation.
Alles ist Wechselwirkung.
Upon his return to Europe, Humboldt immediately set about to publish all findings resulting from 5 years of exploration. But his first project, the geography of plants, revealed a personal bias.
The graphic image contains, as it were, the entirety of the research I carried out during my expedition in the tropics.
The geography of plants has been prominently featured in a major literary work of the 20th century, Daniel Kahneman's Measuring the World. Humboldt's innovative science is also the focus of a study comparing his measurements to conditions today, providing conclusive evidence of dramatic climate change. For more than 2 decades, Humboldt devoted himself to research, but that luxury would end abruptly. He had been wealthy, but after publishing 29 elaborate volumes, he found himself in poverty. Humboldt's fame resolved the crisis. King Frederic Wilhelm III of Prussia summoned him to Berlin to serve as advisor to the court. Humboldt also gave public lectures, which later became the basis for his Cosmos. In England, Charles Darwin, inspired by the descriptions in Humboldt's personal narrative of travels, undertook his revolutionary voyage of the Beagle.
Humboldt's glorious descriptions are and will forever be unparalleled. I am at present fit only to read Humboldt. He, like another sun, illuminates everything I behold.
Just as Darwin found in Humboldt's narrative the inspiration to undertake a voyage of discovery, so too Frederic Edwin Church, through Humboldt, experienced landscapes anew. With Cosmos, Humboldt challenged artists to explore the tropics for a truly comprehensive view of nature. In April of 1853, following in Humboldt's footsteps, Church traveled to Colombia and Ecuador, visiting specific sites where Humboldt had made drawings. He was compiling a series of landscapes that would eventually lead to Humboldt's ideal of interconnectedness. For Church, as for Humboldt, nature was the primary object, and the actors on its stage not people, but mountains, rivers, and vegetation. Near Bogota, he, like Humboldt, experienced the dramatic Tequendama Falls.
I was stunned by the beauty and grandeur of the falls.
After a 6-month, 1,000-mile journey, Church returned to the United States and exhibited a selection of his Andes paintings. Despite considerable success, he felt that his efforts were simply not enough to create the monument appropriate for Humboldt. He needed a comprehensive view. Church returned to South America and was intent on making the volcanoes of Ecuador the heart of his vision. The rumblings of Cotopaxi, which Humboldt had heard only from a distance, Church experienced close range, but the barren volcanic rocks were not appropriate for the lower temperature zone that Humboldt and Church had in mind. In the Chimborazo foreground, tropical vegetation was required to conform to Humboldt's vision. In analogy to Humboldt's geography of plants, Heart of the Andes thus displayed all climate zones, from lush plants bathed in sunlight, past plains of decreasing vegetation, to the barren mountains, and finally leading to the snow-capped Chimborazo. Working in his New York studio, Church completed his masterpiece. 12,000 people viewed the painting in a period of 3 weeks. Church then made arrangements to ship the painting to London and Berlin for a viewing by Humboldt. Bayard Taylor, who knew Humboldt, wrote a letter of introduction to accompany the painting.
The artist is sending his painting to Berlin so that you, to whom he is so grateful, might see it and perhaps enjoy and revisit after 50 years your grand encounter with nature. The artist believes that his success is due to the path you have shown him.
Before the painting was shipped, however, the news of Alexander von Humboldt's death reached New York. The London premiere took place, but the Berlin showing was canceled. On its return, Church's painting was exhibited in Boston, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Chicago, and St. Louis. The young Mark Twain, unaware of the origins of this painting, confirmed that Church's Heart of the Andes had created a unique merging of science and art, an appropriate monument to Humboldt.
You will find your brain gasping and straining with futile efforts to take all the wonder in and appreciate it in its fullness and understand how such a miracle could have been conceived and executed by human brain and human hands.